I'm Mike Banks. I'm with the Electric Vehicle Council of Ottawa, and this is my Hyundai Ioniq 5. So this is a fully electric car. It can do everything a Tesla can do, so you've heard of Teslas probably, and so this will do 500 kilometers of driving on a charge, 0 to 100 in 4.5-5 seconds kind of thing, so it accelerates really fast. But this also has some things that Teslas can't do. So this can do vehicle to load, which is this device here. So on the one end, it plugs into the charge port of the car, and on the other end has a 110 outlet. So you can plug an extension cord in here and run basically anything you would from a wall outlet in your house. So that's fridges, lights, Wi-Fi. And so that's exactly what I did when we had a storm in the spring. There was a big derecho that came through Ottawa and took out the power grid. And I had just gotten this, and so I plugged it into the car, ran our fridges, I ran the lights, the Wi-Fi, charged up all the iPads and phones and everything, and it turns out I had to do that for a full week. So I just kept the car plugged in to the house, basically, and it only used 10% of the battery for that full week. So I ran two fridges and lights and everything for a week, and only used 10% of the car's battery, and then the power came back. So this also charges really quickly. So this car uses an 800 volt architecture, which is sort of the new standard for electric cars, which means I can charge this 10% to 80% in about 18 minutes. Although most charge stops are actually a bit faster than that because you don't really roll up at 10%, so you'll have around 20 or so usually when you hit a charger. So my normal charge stops on a road trip are about 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes sometimes. Just long enough to have a sub usually, and then we're back on the road again. So it's a very fast charging car, state of the art, all-wheel drive, and yeah. It just plugs in right here to the charge port, locks in, and then that's it. So when you turn it on, there's a button here to turn it on. The lights start flashing to tell you that it's in vehicle to load mode, and you can just run an extension cord through here.
So I'm going for a ride with Mike in his Ioniq 5, and we'll see how it handles.
All right. Turn off the radio. All right. So it's a little different than a normal car in that it's running right now. It's idling. You can't hear anything because there's no motor, right? It's electric motors, so there's no big engine making noise and vibration. The way you put it into drive is you just twist this knob, and now it's in drive and we're ready to go. And then you just go.
I guess the amazing thing too is that there's not as many parts of the car that need to be fixed, because there's not a lot of moving parts.
That's right, yeah, there's way fewer moving parts than in a gas car, right? So there's no oil changes, there's no oil filters, there's no transmission, there's no gears, there's no timing belts. All of that stuff doesn't exist in an electric car. So basically there's two electric motors, one front, one rear. They drive the wheels directly. There is a reduction gear, but you don't change gears, it's just the one gear. So it's kind of like a fixie bike. And that's it. That's the only moving parts, basically. There's suspension and everything like a normal car. So if you hit a pothole and take off a wheel, then yes, you're gonna have to repair that. But as far as normal maintenance goes, there's really not a lot to do. There's some coolants that need to be changed out every once in a while. But other than that, there's really not a lot of ongoing maintenance. They're very inexpensive to drive. So there is a new version of the software that does over-the-air updates. It does it over the cell network, so it'll just do it, with the car sitting in your driveway, and it'll give you new features and stuff. I happen to like the current software, and it's fine, so it's whatever. I'll get that done next time I get like my brakes looked at or something.
Okay.
But yeah.
Is there an app to find chargers throughout the city?
Yeah, so in the navigation menu, you can do points of interest or previous destinations or saved things. But if you do points of interest categories, EV charging stations, and it brings up the whole list.
Wow.
And then I have some favorite stations, which are far away because I don't actually have to charge unless I'm out of town, right? So most of my charging is done at home. So the only chargers I actually need are, 85 kilometers away or 100, 200 kilometers away. But the ones that are close to us are all here, and it's a list. It's a pretty big list, actually. This one's down in Kempville, right? And yeah, lots of chargers.
Excellent. How does the vehicle do in winter?
So it's actually better than a normal car in winter, like a gas car, because with a gas car, right, you have a big motor, like a big engine up front that has to warm up before you get any heat. But with an electric car, you use a heat pump, right? So that just moves air from like hot, it moves heat energy from outside to inside. And it's very efficient at doing that, but it also means you get instant heat. So you don't have to wait, 5-10 minutes for the engine to heat up before you start getting heat in the cabin. You get it basically right away, and it's very efficient at doing it. The other thing is, electric cars have what they call climate timers. A lot of them have this, where basically, because you're charging overnight anyway at your house, your car is plugged in to your house, right? Because I used to have a normal commute, I set the car up to do a climate timer at 8 a.m. So basically the car would get itself ready every day at 8 a.m., which means they would heat up the cabin, defrost the windshield, and then I would just get into a nice warm car and still have full range, full power, everything. But what that really means, if it's not obvious, is that because it defrosts the windshield, you don't have to scrape the windshield anymore. So when you have an EV, it means you don't have to scrape the windshield in the mornings, which is the best. So
wow,
it's magic. Also because there's apps, right? You can preheat the car wherever you want. So like if it's sitting outside and you're like, oh, I'm gonna head out to the store in 10 minutes, you can just start the car with your phone, and it'll be all warm by the time you're ready. And it doesn't use any gas, right? Because it's electric. So electric motors are the same thing as an electric generator. The only difference is which way you put the energy in, right? So because this car has two electric motors, one on the front, one on the back, it also means it has two electric generators, right? So to use it as a motor, you give it electricity and it makes rotational energy, right? But if you're already rotating, if you're moving, like down a hill or just coasting, you can harvest that energy and turn it into electricity, right? So that's how regenerative braking works in an EV, where you basically convert your motion back into electricity using the motors. And so it charges up the battery when you stop. What that really means is that you don't have to use your brakes as much, because the motors are doing all of that heavy lifting. So your brake wear and tear is super limited, very low, because you're only using the friction brakes at very low speeds, which means they last forever. So you don't even need brake work done very often in an EV.
Wow. So we're going to do 0 to 100.
You ready?
Yeah, here we go.
And
Whoa! That is awesome. I could do that all day.
yeah, it's fun.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem.
That was awesome, really amazing.